Hello everybody, I am SS the Showstopper and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for passing by, thank you so much for subscribing, and thank you so much for watching my videos. You are greatly appreciated. Now I want to touch on two topics today. There's the Lisa Hyper situation in relation to vloggers and what they have been saying, and also another topic, but I'm going to touch the other topic before I get to the Lisa Hyper situation. Now, there's been a report at a particular teacher's college, I think it's located in St. Elizabeth, where a student there was attacked by her ex with a knife repeatedly, and she was admitted in the hospital, but she is okay. I get to understand that it was a situation wherein the person was taking care of her financially somewhat, and she, according to the report, she decided that she wants to end the relationship with the individual and move on to someone else, and he wasn't having that, and so he decided that he was going to attack her. And we have heard the situation ever so often wherein a guy is taking care of a girl, helping her get back to school to get a proper education, and she decides that she wants to move on with her life. Oftentimes the situation may sound relatable, but it's not exact as how persons will report it or will depict the situation or the story that's behind it. There have been situations wherein women are attacked by men who said that he was sending her to school or he was taking care of her academics financially and stuff. And when you get into it, he was merely giving her lunch money. Other times, he was giving her money and she chose to save the money and send herself back to school, and for some reason it doesn't work out and he decided to take her life, and the report is that he was sending her to school. Oftentimes the guy really is not or was not sending her to school, but rather so giving her money, yes, and she chose to enroll in an institution to further her education, her studies, and further advance herself so she can contribute to the society wholesomely. But these things do happen, and there's always some sort of story that's behind it, some sort of all this type of information that's very mercurial keep coming up, and people tend to inject all of them in the same category and say that, okay, yes, he was actually taking care of her and this is what happened, this is what took place, and so she decided to move on with her life and he decided to take her life. Oftentimes it's just not how it is depicted, but people are going to run with that narrative because it makes for a good story. I'm really sorry about what happened with the student. I hope that young man or whoever it is, or whoever he is, I'm sorry, will be brought to the books, because this type of behavior simply cannot continue. We have had several reports of the bank, financial institutions that's taking people's money, managers who were caught, brought to the books for going into people's account. Yet these victims, I have never heard a story of them attacking the bank. I've never heard a story of a bank being set on fire because people lose their money. I've never heard of this type of story. But yet when it comes to a situation with a female and stuff like that, and it has to do with giving her money or it has to do with her life being snuffed out, there's always an argument that she was eating out, she was yamming out, she was taking him for granted, she was doing this. It matters not what you're doing for a person. They are free to end the relationship and move on for whatever reason that they solidify in their head, that to them it's simply not going to make sense to continue the relationship. And I need people to understand that human beings are not robots, they are not objects. They will never live up to your expectation all day, every day. Once you're in a relationship with someone, the teeth and the tongue will meet. There will be clashes, there will be arguments, there will be dispute, but it's how you process information, that one, that will affect the relationship, and also how you decide to have your conflict resolution. Emotional intelligence, as we have always speak on, is one of the things that help to pioneer, pivot, or strengthen a relationship, moving it from point A to point B. You have to understand that there are certain ways how you divulge information to a person, or you speak to people, communicate with them, and also how you process information when things do not work out your way. How are you going to move on emotionally? How do you accept these things, or how do you acknowledge or respect the decision that is made? These are things that we have to examine. These are things that we have to look into, and a discussion needs to be held about it. And once again, I'm so sorry for the young woman. I hope that she will be released from the hospital sooner than later. And I hope, like I said, that the person is brought to the books. Now, moving on. With the situation with Lisa Hyper, I've been looking at a lot of vlogs, and the people have been coming at her, a lot of male vloggers, and there is one particular one. I'm sorry, guys. Before I get to the Lisa Hyper situation, there was another vlogger who was speaking on this particular report, and the vlogger was saying that women are not properties, and I do agree with him with this argument. So the vlogger was basically saying that a woman love and respect a man who puts his needs before hers. A woman respects a man who puts his need before hers. Once he puts himself before her, a woman will love him and a woman will respect him more than ever. And I am not sure where he got that information from, because to my knowledge, unless a woman is a prostitute or she's doing business to make money, I am not 100% certain that man will achieve a woman or will accomplish a relationship out of that woman when he starts off by letting it known that himself come first always, and he will put himself first in every situation. I do not know of him being able to accomplish a wholesome relationship with a woman with that type of mentality. Usually, as I speak about the entire situation of a master manipulator and stuff like that, men who put themselves first and they're able to accomplish a relationship out of it, I promise you, it did not start out like that. It started out where he was a selfless individual, where he was kind, caring, respectful, and then he just graduates into being who he really is, which is a selfish individual that thinks mainly about himself. So I'm not sure who or what woman is going to stick around or stay with a man or continue pursuing a man or listen to him pursuing her when his motive is about being selfish, putting himself first all the time. I am not sure where that woman lies. I do not want to meet her, because the entire idea of a relationship is for people or both partners to be selfless, not putting themselves first. How do you explain accomplishing a successful relationship with that kind of mentality and that kind of deed? Now, I said unless that woman is a prostitute where she really doesn't care. She's just there for a gain and she move along and she's letting him know that's what she's about. It's really not going to make any sense. You're not going to get very far in a relationship with that type of mentality. But this speaks to the male pathology and how they function and how they process information and how they see things, believing it work for everybody. And so because of that, I just leave it where it is, because arguing that type of topic would be beating a dead horse. So moving on again to the Lisa Hyper situation. Now I see a particular male vlogger came out and he was addressing Lisa Hyper and saying that she's a striggy, which is a name for a skittle or a low-life woman, and saying that she degrades herself. She's a nobody and she's no better than Vybz Kartel, because Vybz Kartel is a low-grade individual or a low-life, and she messed with him repeatedly over the years. So she's no better than him, and she's a harlot, she's this, she's that, she has no sense, and people are feeling sorry for this woman who choose to live her life that kind of way and associated with these type of men repeatedly and believe that the outcome would be great or would be positive. And she should have known that there would be no positive outcome, because the woman before did not have a positive outcome, and so she going in it thinking that it would be different is completely foolish. She have also admitted that she was with him for a very long time over the years and have known him since she was 5. So she would have known him way before everyone else to know what he's about, what he stands for, and that she would never be the preferred choice or the only choice for him at no given time. This is what he's saying. I am repeating what the vlogger has said, and I'm not going to attack the adjectives that he used to describe her, because Lisa had 50% of herself to blame. So at some point, I do agree with him. She is a full-grown woman. She made her choice to lie with Vybz Kartel, knowing exactly who he is, what he stands for, what he's about, and that was her decision. I've seen other vloggers, male vloggers, spoke about it, and I've spoke publicly on who Vybz Kartel is and what he represents when it comes to women, it comes to his artists, comes to relationship. And Lisa Hyper has been there all day, every day, and been around him. She admits, yes, that she was with this man, or known him, I'm sorry, from the age of 5. And so She knows him more than everybody else. So if she has seen that type of behavior in him, she had a decision and then to make. She chose not to. She chose to stay in it. She chose to stay in that type of situation. So partly she has herself to blame, and I can totally agree with that. But at the end of the day, we cannot ignore the fact that she's having a mental breakdown and she's going through a lot, and she has been through a lot. And at times, like I said, with the person who commented that Lisa woke up too late, we have to admit that at some point in time, a person will wake up and they will begin to unravel. They will begin to speak on things that deeply affect them. And you cannot silence a person simply because you like your artist. You cannot do that. You have to allow people to voice their concern, their hurt, their pain. It is a process. It will be addressed, and it has to be addressed, because what we're trying to prevent is similar situation wherein the person end up with repeated meltdown and someone, including the artist, end up getting hurt. So we have to acknowledge that. Another thing the vlogger had said is that women are degraded and women are low life because when they sleep around with multiple men, the men ejaculate the prostaglandins in the woman and it remains there forever. It's a part of his DNA, and his DNA remain in the woman forever. And because of that, the woman is devalued. She has less value, while a man can sleep around with any other woman because there's nothing to absorb. He gains nothing. He can move on with multiple women, and there is absolutely nothing that will affect him because he absorbs absolutely nothing from her. That was his argument. No, I am not sure which scientist he has consulted, he has read about, or you have listened to that had provided him with that type of pseudoscientific information that he's declaring as facts. No, when I look into it, that seemed to be a scientist that went to the same academia to study as the ones who said that homosexuality was normalcy. It seems to be the same scientist, the same institution that they're going to. See, what people don't understand is that racism is an institution. Misogyny is an institution, much like racism. There are levels to it. There are degrees to it. And for those who don't know what misogyny means, you can go and do a simple research or Google it. Now, when we look at the institution of misogyny, it is set to keep women, keep being the operative word. It is said to keep women subjugated, subservient, and subordinate to the male specimen. And every year, every time, every evolution that has passed, the institution of misogyny improve. And there are persons who inject themselves in places and positions of power to keep misogyny going. This argument that this gentleman put about the DNA remain in a woman forever simply does not make any sense. And also the argument that a man move on to many women and it doesn't affect him because he absorbs nothing. If he absorbs nothing, explain how a man contract HIV from a woman. Explain how a man will contract any form of STD or STI from a woman. Last time I checked, he absorbed nothing, right? So the argument that a woman gave him something would be a lie, according to your logic, Mr. Vlogger, that you got from the scientist that a man absorbs nothing from a woman, so he can lie with 20 different women and his value goes up. Now, I don't know about a man lying with multiple women openly, doing this thing, great, and he's still a high value man. Because a woman of worth, woman of substance, simply not going to respect him or want to give him the time of day. But let's stick to the topic, because that's another subject for another day. I want you to answer, how does a man contract HIV or any other STI from a woman since he absorbs absolutely nothing while having unprotected sex with women and ejaculating in her? There's also something that is called the skin gland, which is much like the prostaglandins in the male, and it's for your urinary health. It's also for your sexual performance as a lubricant, active lubricant in a woman. And so with the skin gland, what it does is that the male end up absorbing it during sexual intercourse. So that just rubbish your argument, Mr. Vlogger. I think you need to do some more research. I think you need to let go of the old archaic antediluvian messages of misogyny that you're putting forward, because it simply has no place in 2025. The male absorbs the skin gland also during sexual intercourse, whether you like it or not. It is true. he's going to absorb it. The prostaglandins produces hormones. The skin gland also produces hormones. Now, the last time I checked, the only time any DNA from a man remains in a woman forever, it's when the hormone is cancerous. That's the time it will remain in a woman forever. So I don't know where you get that information from. Unless the woman is continuously having sex with that man all her life, that's the only time. Unless that is the case, it will eventually die out. Much like disco. See, the body is so magnificent. The human biology is so magnificent that it releases waste. It excretes it. You understand? That's how you keep going. And that's how it replenishes itself. So it will not remain in you forever, contrary to what you may believe or what you want to think, and what you believe will keep a woman subservient. You understand? So with that being said, I think, sir, you need to let go of the old argument that is under the institution and the guise of misogyny. Let go. It's a clear day. Land your plane. Let go. Let go. Women are independent in thought, independent in deed, and are free to make their decision. Yes, there are ramifications and there are consequences for your actions. We get that. Simply because you are a man, it doesn't mean that you are always correct, or you can place women in squares and boxes to keep them where you want them to be, to understand that you're a man, the head, the bull, the cock, the king. Even in the very Bible, there were women, female prophetess who came around when the men simply had no use. So what say you? Don't blame me. The Bible was the one who spoke on it. So what say you? What say you? No man is ordained to lead. No man is an automatic leader. It happens nowhere. These are social constructs that people need to let go of. Social construct. It's of the mind, and for centuries upon centuries, like I said, the institution of misogyny keeps evolving, and it advances itself with new research coming out to suit the argument of the day. As Dr. Ray Hagen has said, he who controls the printing controls the thinking of the age. And because of that, much like racism, which is an institution that continues to advance itself as the human being move on and grow and evolves, the misogyny, the realm of misogyny, it does the same thing. I need you guys to stop, to let go, stop holding on to this concept that you have about women simply because you cannot handle the fact that women are advanced, women are making their decision as to who they want to lie with. Yes, there can be better choices, but let me add this. And I want people to understand what I'm about to say as clear as day. It is not my decision to pick a good man. It is not a man's decision to pick a good woman. It is your duty, your sole duty, to be of utmost good faith, to be of good character, to be of good report. So me desiring to be married should not be digging through the rubble. It was never designed like that, for me to dig through the rubble to find diamond, to find a good man, to find a faithful man, to find a respectful man, to find a decent man. It is not my duty. It was never designed like that. It was never designed for a man to do that either. It was never designed for a man to do that. The behavior of individuals and with social construct, all sorts of things that people adapt in their environment over the time period have made it a lot more difficult for others to have a good relationship, meet a good person, and all of that. But it is your duty as an individual to be of good report and of good character. So miss me with that argument about women being this and that the male releases the prostaglandins and it remains in the woman forever. There's just no evidence to that. I'm sorry. Not sorry. You have to come back again. And, we understand the situation. Like I said, I hope that she gets help. Persons are saying that she needs to shut up. People I see attack Foot Hype and are saying that if Foot Hype was, around her and was listening to her, he had a duty to shut her up and all these type of things. And this is coming from men. This is coming from the Gaza people. And I'm saying to you that when a person is venting, I can't speak to the Gaza. This message is not for you because you guys process information a little bit different than the others. So I'm just saying this to the wider society out there in the Jamaican space or in entertainment, watching what is taking place before our very eyes. Persons have to be allowed to vent, persons have to be allowed to speak, persons have to have that release therapy. Yes, there's a right way and a wrong way to go about it. And she happened to take the negative angle because so much damage have been done. We don't know the fine details of it, and it's her duty to get help. It's also her family's duty to seek help for her because she's in the spotlight, she's a public figure and stuff like that. And there's some sort of empathy, whether we like it or not. We have to, because mental illness is not something to toy with. Having a mental breakdown, it's also not something not to toy with, or something that is comical, because like I said, it can lead to people harming others and also harming themselves. And so with that being said, I hope that you guys understand where I'm coming from. And we have to be careful of who we're taking information from. Yes, people are saying that listen to the message, not the messenger, but we have to be careful of who we're taking information from, because a lot of time people speak, they have ulterior motives and you don't know. But when they keep going and going and going, you will see what they really are about. And I think a lot of these male vloggers and a lot of these people that are speaking on the matter, who are pseudo doctors and all these type of things, YouTube, social media doctors and all of that, I think a lot of them need to find something constructive to do and just leave certain arguments alone. When you're ill prepared or when you're ill prepared and not knowledgeable about certain topics, when it comes to mental health, when it comes to that entire thing, when it comes to relationship and people, men and women associating with each other, I think guys need to have less opinion on it, especially when you don't know the fine details of what took place. You understand? I think people need to be careful. People need to look into what they are saying actually. And this information that you guys are providing, that's saying that it is scientific evidence, this pseudo-scientific information that has no place in 2025, I think that you guys need to reevaluate yourself and understand that, listen, you have to let go of this old archaic mentality. You have to let go of the realm of misogyny. You have to let go and understand that women can be in position of power. I remember Futai making a comment that that's why they don't give women leadership, because women are emotional, and when they get emotional about certain situation, they do this and they do that. Men have been in leadership positions since eons, which has led to the death of millions of people. So I am not sure how does a woman being emotional is destructive when we have seen before our very eyes to date what happens when men lead. And may I add that most companies out there that are successful, most companies out there that are extremely successful, you always find a woman at the top tier in the company, in a leadership position. But this is not a battle of the sexes argument. This is not a battle wherein I want to participate in, because it leads to a dead end and people are going to be hell-bent on their mindset and how they process things. So I'm not going to get into it. However, you're not about to stop the apple cart. You're not about to prevent any woman from advancing. You're not about to affect personal choice, personal decision when it comes to women. Yes, there are ramifications, like I say, for certain decision, just like with any decision a man make. There is also consequences that he has to live with. And it's the same thing for women. But at the end of the day, you cannot walk around believing that you own and control people and then say, oh, we don't control women, women are not our property. But at the end of the day, you're injecting pseudoscientific research into your argument, which is under the guise of misogyny to suit the topic that you were speaking on. You understand? It's actually comical for me, but that's another subject for another day. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your day. Have a beautiful day, and may God bless you. Bye-bye.